Surprisingly, for all of my talk of I'm nervous to film and post these videos because I feel like I need to talk about everything extra well, I think I'm gonna have another holiday gift guide video. But before we get to that one, let's talk about some mystery and supernatural reads. Hello friends, happy Wednesday, so very excited that you're here. I really hope you've been enjoying these series of videos in the gift guide kind of topic, kind of theme. It's been really fun trying to think outside of the box and think of different titles that I feel sort of capture a large part of the genre. As we did last week with high school romance, that was definitely hard to pinpoint because there's just so much and I definitely have a whole bunch. So it was hard not just featuring my favorites. But with today's video for the mystery and supernatural, it's really, I feel like, pushing me out there because a commenter a while back, I can't remember who it was, they had asked if I could do a supernatural themed video, and I'm like, well, I would love to, but I'm like, I don't really read that much, so I really enjoyed having to do some research for this and truly hope that my picks today really fit. Now, I will say that not all of my picks are supernatural. I have a little bit of an alternating theme of mystery and supernatural, but I do feel like they cross over a little bit. Like for this first one, let's go ahead and jump right in. I feel like this would be a great fit if you're like me and you don't read a lot of supernatural manga, not necessarily because you dislike it, but you may not be really drawn to it. Like, I'm not a huge fan of yokai personally, but the yokai manga I have picked up, I've enjoyed. And if the only thing that you're requiring that you really want is romance, then Tengu's Love, I feel, is one that is such a good beginner-friendly kind of manga. And right now it's only 2 volumes. Volume 2's up here, and I think it was confirmed by the author slash creator that's only going to be 3 volumes. It currently serializes in the Azuka magazine and it's being published in English by Yen Press, and I'm so thankful I gave this manga a chance. It's about our male lead. Yes, it's from the male lead's perspective, and in the beginning he is visiting, I think it was a temple or a shrine, and he has like this memory where he goes into this place where he has a memory where he's like, I've been here before, because he was raised here, but something happened to his family and he ends up leaving and living in an orphanage, and now as an adult he has come back. And that's when he goes to this spot because he's visiting with friends, that he's having this flashback. Something happens and he leaves basically, and then he finds himself again in that same spot, and he's warned by this Tengu with a giant fox that, hey, do not return here a 3rd time. Well, he returns a 3rd time, and come to find out that according to ritual, if you meet the same person 3 times under this sacred tree, then you are supposed to get married. The thing is, our female lead here is a Tengu, and he has no experience with yokai, which I don't think most people do in general, but he is roped in to these shenanigans because they go back to her village and she makes it known that, hey, this ritual has happened, they must get married. There's some things that are tossed in there, but ultimately she does come back with him to his house despite that he is adamant they will not get married. And so is a blooming, slow blooming romance between these two. I really enjoyed both volumes equally. They were so good. It's a very interesting story. I always enjoy when we get shoujo from a male lead perspective, and I feel like despite that this has a lot of fun shenanigans because our female lead, she eats so much, and it was really not only because she eats so much, but there's a lot of food moments, and I appreciate those because they link back to the male lead's past and how he's experiencing things as an adult, like people he knew as a child who are like, oh, you're back, I'm so excited that you're here. And then our female lead being a Tengu, having no experience really with humans, and so she's eating like ramen for the first time, and he's showing her how it's done, ordering delivery. He is experiencing what it's like to live a life with somebody and not be lonely like he has up to now. And she's experiencing a life with this young man that she genuinely loves and cares for and wants to marry while experiencing the ways of human, like the humans. I mean, in volume 2, there is such a funny, great moment involving shopping. I really have enjoyed it, and I'm bummed that we don't have volume 3. It's not out in Japan, so we can't get it out yet in English, but it's definitely one I would highly recommend, especially since it's very short right now. And I feel like the ending of volume 2, I don't remember it being such a massive cliffhanger. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't do anything. I'm obsessed and I just need get answers. I don't remember it being quite that extreme now. Obviously, I do want the next volume, but this is really great if you're getting into manga for the first time. Again, if you're just looking for something, a yokai supernatural story that has this romance that's slowly blooming, I'm very, very excited and intrigued to see what happens next. Genuinely hope that we get the third and final volume very soon. For number 2, let's say on the flip side, you don't want any supernatural. Like, you just want plain mystery. You don't really even care for romance. You're just like, I want a really good mystery that makes you think. Automatically, I thought of Don't Call It Mystery. Now, I have not read this series, but I know friends who absolutely love and adore this series. Felt it was a big win when we got it an English license for it. It is about our male lead. I believe his name is Totonu. I believe is his name. He is, I would say, sort of iconic because of his very bushy afro hair. But not only that, he's very, very smart. And he keeps finding himself, he's a college student, and finding himself in these mysteries that are happening. Like, I've read the preview of volume 1, and I'm trying to remember how he gets roped up in something with the police, and they're accusing him. I'm like, okay, you're the prime suspect in this mystery that is happening. He gets taken in by, like, in custody by the police, and they're interrogating him. Maybe I've actually read more because I think that's past the first chapter. Maybe, I think I have read some of this because maybe my library hasn't, and that's why I can remember so much of it, because the first chapter is really long. I think it was supposed to be like a standalone, and then it went to a full-blown series. But I think what makes this series interesting, because again, it's just our male lead who is somehow roped into these different investigations, and so goes about the story of him solving these mysteries. But he asks such thought-provoking questions that really make you think. He has really interesting perspective, ideas, thoughts on society, that this is not a mystery that you're just burning through to see, okay, well, who is the one that did it? Who's the guilty party? Who's actually the person, the culprit? It's not just that. You're here reading this story, it seems, to see these talks, these conversations about society, of how we think, of how society may view, say, a culture or view a certain kind of topic. They really break it down in this manga that makes it so much more engaging than just your average mystery, I feel like. And say, for example, like if you read the Cat Who books, which I love those growing up, or say Nancy Drew, there's a lot of social commentary, I think is the right word that I'm looking for, that unfolds in this story. So I think this is definitely one, if you're looking for something that is heavier in the sense of it's not just about the plot, it's about what's being said through what may seem on the outside a basic investigation, but it goes so much deeper when this male lead gets involved and finds himself in these situations and how he views the world. I've heard really, really glowing things about it, and that it does sometimes take people time to get through the manga. I forget how long the series is. I do believe we're caught up because they 7 Seas publish it in omnibus form, so you get volumes 1 and 2. So I don't know if that's some of why I've heard people say it takes them a little bit to get through the volumes, and that could be a combination of it. It's longer than usual and because of the themes and discussions that are being had. But I really, really feel like for a hardcore mystery reader, especially if they've only read novels coming into manga, like this series seems like such a good one. I don't know how beginner friendly it is, but I do feel it's such a perfect fit for those people, again, who love really great discussions that are going to make you think long after you've read that series or read that book. But let's go back also to Supernatural. I got another yokai manga. I do have one manga that does have a ghost, so they're not all yokai specifically, but this is personally one of my favorite manga. And if you maybe say tried the anime for the first time or want an anime adaptation, this manga is for you, and that's Kakariko Bed and Breakfast for Spirits. I love this manga. I was influenced by you guys. I have a video review actually here on this channel. It won my event of Read and Review Shoujo Spree. I don't remember if it was this year or last year, but as per at least every year I read one of these series, I read it from my library, and then I eventually went and bought the whole series for myself. I love it so much. I feel like this is a very unique series in the sense of how many genres that we're getting, because it's about our main female lead, Aoi, right here. She is a very interesting person because she can actually see Ayakashi, so she can see these yokai, and not many people have this gift or this ability, but her grandfather did. As Aoi is going to college one day, she comes across this yokai here, or Ayakashi. They call him Odana, though she didn't know that was his name then, but he's hungry. He's asking for food. She ends up giving him some, and lo and behold, something happens. I don't remember exactly how it happens. I know that she goes goes through a gateway and she ends up in the world of Kakuryou where all these Ayakashi live, and she's literally the only human here. And the thing is she's at this hotel-like place, this inn that Odana runs. He tells her, hey, you're going to be my wife. And she's like, excuse me, what? Like, no, I think not. And that's when she finds out that her grandfather, who could also see Ayakashi, that when he came to Kakuryou, he ate, drank, did his whole fill for 3 days, really wrecked this inn, and then he just up and left, didn't pay for a single dime. And so when Odana finds him again, he says, hey, either you let me devour you right here, right now, or you pay back everything. Neither option was what the grandfather wanted to do. Instead, he said, I will give you one of my daughters who can be your future wife. And that just happened to be our female lead, Aoi, who could see them. The thing is, though, she is adamantly against this. Despite that she's in this dangerous world, she's like, no, I'm not going to marry you. I'll make it by on my own. So it's a story really centering around her time here. I'm hesitant to say it's a romance. Now, granted, I want there to be a romance, and I don't know if there is in the light novels, which we don't have available in English. I know the anime is much further than what we have in the manga, so I can't say what happens there, but I feel like this is a really fun series if you like a lot of different things. If you like mystery, we have Aoi who's trying to not figure out different mysteries, but I feel like there is a mystery, an overlying one, because she has seen this mask that helped her when she was little, and she doesn't know who it is behind this mask. So when she's in Kakuryou, she is trying to find that mysterious person. Not only that, if you like food in your manga or food in your stories, this is one of the ultimate foodie mangas I've ever read. In fact, I would suggest if you're reading this, you need to have food on hand because the dishes that Aoi makes is so delicious. Oh my goodness. I don't know how people can even watch the anime without getting super hungry. Maybe they do, and I haven't seen it. My husband did though, and I'm trying to find one of her dishes because I definitely know in the other volumes and on the covers you can see some of the really great foods that she has cooked. I feel like there's a breakdown of the recipe. Like, I don't think they give you an actual recipe, but you can get an idea of how to make these dishes that she's cooking. So that is really cool and fun to see. So if you enjoy learning about cooking through an entertaining way, oops, I had the book the wrong way, through an entertaining way, definitely would say this. And then the supernatural, of course, we have all these Ayakashi and they're all so different. You can definitely feel the danger that is in this world from a variety of characters. Been plenty of times that I was like, oh, maybe we shouldn't fight back with these people and just do what they're saying. Like, they're really dangerous. They can devour you anytime. Like, even Odana tells her that if you don't marry me, you're not under my care, so to speak, and anybody could just devour you right then on the spot and it'd be fine because she's so adamant that, again, she wants to do her own thing and make it by. And I love how that plays out and unfolds in this manga. It's a very chill, slice of life, almost relaxing kind of story. Yes, there are stakes, but I just find that when I read a new volume, I don't know, I feel like it's so, I'm hesitant to say heartwarming, but I do feel relaxed usually after I read these volumes, because I feel like if it wasn't the last volume that released or it was the volume before that, no, I did not feel relaxed at all. I'm on the edge of my seat and I'm like, what is going to happen next? And that's really rare, I feel like, for this series, but it is one that I feel is very bingeable because when you get to the end, it sort of ends on a cliffhanger and makes you want the next volume right away. To top that, the volumes are this one's a little bit thicker, but the latest volumes have been smaller, so it just feels easier to read and take in this entire series. It's so much fun, and I genuinely am surprised how much I enjoy it. I was very nervous the first time I read it, since I mentioned I don't really read yokai stories, but once I started, oh, I was hooked. I loved it so much. I honestly need to come back to the series and read it from start to finish, because when I was just skimming over this just to make sure the beginning plot line was fresh in my mind, I'm like, oh, I really love these characters. Like, Genji is one of my favorite characters. He's so amazing. He's so fantastic. So yeah, definitely a series. Now, I will warn, it is longer than what I have. I don't know, maybe this is as long as Don't Call It Mystery, but I do feel it's on the longer end of things, though this next one is just 2 volumes and complete at 2 volumes, and that is Last Quarter. I loved reading this. In fact, I have a video review coming this Friday if you're curious about it, because I was just so blown away. I think think this is a great one if you're looking for a very famous mangaka and you're wanting to take in her work. I mean, usually she is known for non-op and also like Neighborhood Story, Paradise Kiss, but you want something on the shorter end and you want that mystery and supernatural. This is it. It is about two different heroines. It's about Mizuki here. She is a young teenage woman. She meets a man named Adam. He is a guitarist. She meets him on the side of the street. She hears him playing the guitar. And at that time, Mizuki is really going through sort of a rough patch. Her father has remarried and now she has a half sister and she's just not very fond of this new stepmom. And so when she meets Adam, he provides a escape for her. She ends up more or less, I feel, running away with Adam to this place. But the thing is Adam ends up leaving. And when she finally hears from him again, he tells her to meet him at a certain place. And so she runs off with her bag. She goes to meet him. She's about to cross the street. Like she's in the middle of crossing the street. And somebody calls for her. And during that time when she looks back, because Adam's like across the crosswalk that she's on, she looks back and that's when a car hits her. And so it opens up with this happening. But also now we're in this place where we don't know if it's heaven or hell, and she sees this little girl. Her name is Hotaru. She's going to be the other heroine that we meet. And she's asking our girl here, like, hey, have you seen my cat? Have you seen my cat? And she helps her. And then across these bars that are in this place that our girl's in, she sees Adam. But again, they're divided by these bars, and she doesn't know why she's here. She doesn't know how she got here. She doesn't know what's happening. All she knows is she wants to get it to Adam and find some way to be by his side. That is mainly the first chapter, and usually I wouldn't go past that, but the thing that you do need to know is I feel like the first chapter is so different than the rest of the series, because in the rest of the series focuses on Hotaru, who is a younger child. I think she is in like elementary school, I believe, 4th or 5th grade, if I remember their ages right. I know they're younger children and they're not in high school, but we meet Hotaru and come to find out she's still looking for that cat that she was looking for in this weird heaven or hell-like place that we don't know what is. She ends up coming to this abandoned house and she feels her cat Lulu is in there. She enters this abandoned house and she hears piano music playing. Who should she meet? Mizuki playing the piano, and she sees her and she's telling Hotaru like, hey, I can't leave this house. I don't know what happened to me. All I know is I need Adam. I need to know where he is. Where's Adam? Where's Adam? And so Hotaru goes and tells her friends about this girl that she's met, and they can't see her. They can't hear her. They have no idea who this girl is that Hotaru is talking to. And so the story unfolds now, I feel like ultimately, of Hotaru and her friends finding out of what happened to Mizuki. Is she alive? Is she a ghost? How did she get here? Why can't she leave? I really love how this is a series, especially in this first volume. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was happening with this teenage girl. I didn't understand why she was so obsessed with Adam, because I do feel when you read that first chapter, it was alarming of what he does to her. Like there is a genuine moment of fear, and I'm like, girl, you need to flee for your life. Okay, like it's a jarring, potentially trigger warning opening. And I read the first chapter after it released and I was like, no way am I coming back to this or reading this. I was like, no way am I reading this. But then I'm so glad that that person suggested reading Supernatural, if I could do a Supernatural video, excuse me, because I'm like, okay, my library has this. I'm going to give it a fair chance. Being on this quest, this investigation with these kids of what is happening, because you really feel a sense of compassion for this ghost. Nobody knows why or what's going on, and they are making headway in this volume only to get to volume 2 where answers have been made and they're like, did we do the right thing? Was this the right thing? So it's sort of like you have the investigation and you get to the end of the investigation because you have the answers. But are they the real answers, and was it the right way to go about the answers and talk about those answers for like the most vaguest way I could talk about it? I was very, very surprised of how everything I thought I knew in this volume just turned on its head in volume 2. I would also say this is a great manga if you are a fan of slightly bittersweet endings. Like, yes, it has a happy ending, okay? I will say that. I say bittersweet because it didn't, through the journey you go on with these characters, it did end differently in the sense of that happy ending. I was surprised, and everything is resolved, and it's very, very beautiful. There are some very powerful questions that are asked along the way that make you think, and really seem the compassion that Hotaru had was so beautiful and moving and touching to me. This is a series that I did check out from my library, but I have really wanted to get for myself as well, because even though it is a heavier, kind of darker story, I feel like it's darker in the sense it's not my fluffy reads, okay? It's not my fluffy reads where everything feels good. There's moments that I wanted to cry. There was moments that I got frustrated. There were moments where I just did not understand. There were moments I did feel very happy, and it felt like an up and down emotional roller coaster that were answers didn't seem so crystal clear. And then when they did and everything's out in the open, it's like, again, was this the right thing to do, the right way to handle this situation, and where do they go from here? I felt it was constantly on the edge of my seat, not knowing what was going to take place. So I think if you really enjoy where it doesn't look like you're going to automatically know the question of who did it. I mean, there's no kind of investigation in that kind of sense, but there is wondering of, is this person they're talking to a ghost, and why is this ghost here, and what has happened to this ghost between the time before they became the ghost and the time during and after. Lots of great questions, maybe not as thought-provoking the same way as Don't Call It Mystery is, but I'd say no less impactful, and it's definitely a very emotional read that really made me feel some tears, especially at the end. It was definitely a series that I thought about long past the time I finished reading. And then for number 5, I'm gonna say Pet Shop of Horrors. Now, I can't say how much of a supernatural read this is. I know it's a mystery, and the reason I wanted to make sure it was on this list today, or this gift guide, is because if you have been wanting to try classic manga, this is a great one to try, especially since it's in the mystery vein. From what I have read and what I know, it's about I wouldn't really say it's about a young man, like we do have another male lead perspective, but he runs this pet shop. And this pet shop is not your ordinary pet shop that has cats, dogs, birds, and other animals, okay? It's not that kind of pet shop. He has very exotic creatures who really, I feel, could borderline on supernatural or fantasy. I'm trying to think of the very first one. Like, I know there was one creature that he had that reminded me of Medusa, because if you looked her in the eyes, you would turn to stone. I don't think she had the hair with the snakes, though, but she did have that same kind of ability. Like, I know that for sure. And so the thing is, these people can come in, they can buy these pets, they do have to sign like a contract saying, I think it's stating that they will take responsibility for their actions and not say, well, it's all the pet's fault, like that they will not do that. And that of course causes some problems, because this whole manga is centered around a bunch of different mysteries and investigations that do happen by a police officer later on, of trying to solve what happened to these owners, because the pets were always involved in some kind of way. Now, this does have some horror-like vibes. I don't know how far those horror-like vibes go. I do believe this has an old anime or an old OVA, but it was a very big win from my understanding that I think Tokyo Pop released the original Pet Shop of Horrors, and then of course it went out of print because this was several years ago. And then so now 7 Seas is giving us the collector's edition. I was going to pick it up, but budgeting was budgeting, and I know my library does have at least the old edition of the manga. That was how I was able to try volume 1. And despite that it had those horror-like vibes, I really enjoyed what I read. Like the pet that had the Medusa-like, just was Medusa-like, I cried at the end of that one, because there's just such realistic moments with these humans of finding out why they're buying these pets. It's just, sometimes I feel like in the 2 stories I read, you see the bad side of humanity and how they're not taking responsibility in these situations. And there is like this great sense of mystery, because there's times we don't know why this is happening. I think there was like one pet where there was one pet, and then the human, the owner, bought another pet for that pet specifically, like they were the same pets. And then the next day, the other pet was gone. and they didn't know what was happening with that or something along those lines. But there was a dark twist when they find out what happened to the other pet. So I really enjoyed how, again, only from what I read, like the first 2 chapters, I think it is, where these mysteries seem short. So if you prefer shorter, like a series of shorter mysteries rather than like a long ongoing several volumes, this seems like a really good series. And again, it being a classic manga, that's always a great introduction to classic retro manga, which we talked about several months ago. That's been really cool seeing these older series make a comeback in these collector's edition. But I wish I could comment specifically on the supernatural element. So if you've read this series or watched the anime/OVA, please let me know if you feel it fits in that regard, because it's been so long and I can't remember if it was just more fantasy-like than actual supernatural, but I would still adamantly recommend this manga. I believe the collector's edition is still ongoing, and I've heard it's a really nice collector's edition at that. I don't know if it has colored pages or anything like that, but it ultimately stands up, I've heard, to time of the themes and whatnot. And I feel like this one probably does have some interesting conversations about society the same way Don't Call It Mystery is. I don't know how deep it goes, but I do feel like the pet shop owner has very interesting thoughts that the detective, at least again, this is from word of mouth and what I've seen, that don't agree. Like, they don't agree about, like, the detective sees it one way and the pet shop owner sees it another way. So that could be a really interesting perspective, or 2 different perspectives, ideas on a certain mystery or a certain conversation that could be eye-opening and engaging to read. And yeah, that is all the mystery supernatural reads I have for you. It's funny how nervous I was for this one, and really enjoyed talking about these stories. So if you ever have any mystery supernatural reads that you think I would really enjoy, please don't hesitate to let me know. Which of these do you think would be a really great Christmas gift to gift somebody or to gift yourself? I would love to know. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!